also mass incarceration. So now kids are growing up without father figures in their life. So now it's just this generation of this lost kids because the black man is not in the community anymore.
Okay, thank you. Marriage is a very important institution. I don't know how you guys see it in America, but I'm very sure it's also important. Right here in Ghana, a lot of people go through several processes before marriage is contracted. How would you feel as a Ghanaian if your brother or sister comes to tell you that he's getting married to an African American?
Wow. How would you really feel? Welcome home.
Okay, so your comments.
Can we hear from one of the women?
To be honest, the idea of dollars will come first. To get dollars. They won't say it's boldly or loudly in your face, but in their minds, like, it's more of economic than cultural or your skin color.
Like brides will?
Yeah. They believe maybe the marriage will bring about 2 of my nephews going to America.
Quickly, you know, right here in Ghana, I want to say something. Right here in Ghana, people would not want to marry a certain group, you know. And the moment a family would want to go to the extent of marrying an Eve, then the family is like, no, I want an Asante. You know, that kind of perception. I want you to bring it to here for you to understand. Not necessarily the economic factor, but how would you perceive it?
What I'm saying is,
some
people don't care.
Don't care.
They
Yeah,
just
sure.
want a few dollars.
Others don't care.
Some few dollars. Or the time where the marriage will bring about traveling to the US or anything.
Okay, that's Isaac. For you, he doesn't care, and that's the family. They don't care. For economic aspect. Okay, yes.
As you're saying, you don't know whether there are those kind of tribal differences there.
Do you have tribal differences?
You don't know it.
No, we don't.
Like race belongs to this race.
Our differences.
Yeah, we don't know where we're
So as a Ghanaian, so like as a Ghanaian,
yeah,
you don't care.
Yeah, so we just black.
But you some kind of respect.
Yeah, sure.
Just the person say, oh, my warrior Bruchi now, the so is married to someone in America alone is enough to, get some respect to the family.
Okay.
So
Victor, you have spoken. Let me take quickly from Ato, then I will give you the chance, please.
Okay, I think in some families it will be a very big problem.
Yeah.
Because talking from the cultural perspective, just as you mentioned that, let's say I can't going to marry someone from, let's say, the north, or we have this perception. The accounts are matrilineal.
Yeah.
And for instance, the Evers are patrilineal. So if someone from a matrilineal society, let's say the male is from a matrilineal society and the female is from a patrilineal society, where would the child belong when he's being given birth?
So okay, thank you. We have to be thinking about that. Quickly, Victor.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. For some Ghanaian families, it will be like they will not accept, because the first question that will come to their mind, would that African American accept our culture? Would they like what we do? I think Esther raised a question during Prof's lecture that according to a book she read and blah blah. But that is the factor. Most Ghanaian families will not love the idea because of the gap between we Jew people and us.
Please, I beg to differ. Okay. But until a study is conducted on this, I don't think we can be very sure about in terms of percentage our conclusion.
Majority will $5.
So, you know, this one is so disputable. Your statement is disputable because
right. Just hearing America is coming, you will not have to go deep. Okay, and then be accepted.
Really?
So you know what you are saying contradicts what she is saying, that most people will not accept, but you are saying majority would accept. So it is neither here nor there. And I think it will depend.
So hello. So in light of this, we're talking about culture. We're talking about maybe these differences that may not be accepted. We're talking about these systemic issues in America. So here's a question for blacks. If it's so hard in America, why don't you just come back to Africa?
Welcome home.
So who hasn't spoken? Who hasn't spoken? I want to get somebody who hasn't spoken. Who hasn't spoken? Yes.
So one reason probably why not is a lot of like what they mentioned before. What we have been raised up to learn about what Africa is, what it looks like, what the people are like. It hasn't been appealing, and so although once we become adults, we learn, you know, who Ghanaians or Nigerians really are. We see, you know, what you all actually look like. We know that it's not all lions and tigers. It's still within us that isn't home, and so in America, unfortunately, is. And so we're used to America. We're used to our, just like you all are used to your systems, like when it comes to like the family, the family being very, you know, an important thing. I guess like the family orientation in Africa is very important. It is important in America, but for me, if someone mentioned that, you know, when you marry someone, you marry their family. A lot of what we say, when I marry you. I don't marry your mama and your auntie and your cousin. And so it'll be very hard for one of us to literally uproot ourselves out of what we've been knowing for so long and say, I'm going to act and accept all of that. We can accept the clothes, the traditions, the feeling, the spirit, the Christianity, all of that, but it's hard to accept everything. It's just like, you know, I don't know, just uprooting yourself and going to a new country. That's a lot. I think that's why. That's one reason why.
Okay, so what are the things you would accept? What are some of the things you would accept?
Honestly, the surface level things, like, oh, I'll change my clothes. I'll live in a different house. Hey. I'll change my hair. Will I change my ideas? And I'll change the food I eat, but I won't change my ideas.
Okay, Bree. So Bree.
Kind of like what Damian said, and then also the fact that come back to Africa where we don't know where we're from. We were stolen. I don't know what country my ancestors came from. I don't know what tribe they are. I don't know anything about this place. I don't know how to live here. I don't know the language here. I don't know the food here. Like, I come back to where? Like, just get dropped off in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you guys said you'll teach us and stuff like that, but there's still that disconnect, you know? Yeah. It's still like, I know deep down somewhere I belong here, but I feel like an alien. I still feel foreign.
Good.
You know?
So maybe one more on this question. Why don't you just come? By the way, I'm moving to Ghana next year, so I'll be looking for you when I need some help. Okay. So anyone else on this question? Any other people that hasn't spoken? That hasn't spoken? Anybody else over here that hasn't spoken?
Yes, sis and the front line.
No?
I would just be repeating a lot of what's been said.
So maybe the gap is too wide.
Yeah.
The culture is too different.
That's a culture shock.
And it's just so different. So
it just takes education though. Like that type the gap can be shortened with education. We can learn about one another. Like you said, we'll teach you. You know, and we have things we can teach you guys too.
So I'll say this. I've been coming to Ghana since 2007. Okay. And my wife has traveled my wife lived in South Africa, so she's been around. And the reason we're able to move to Ghana is because it took us 2007 to 2018 is 11 years. It took us 11 years to remove all of the miseducation. 11 years to remove all of the miseducation, to be in a position to go and know that it's better to be an Obruni in Ghana than be a black man in America. It's better. So much better. Okay. So, and then the next questions are going to deal with kind of like, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, also, like, money is a factor. Like, to come here today, we raise money to get here. And it's like, it's not cheap coming to Africa. And on top of that, like, we don't have, like, money saved where we can just move over here and we'll be okay. Like, we're going to move over here. We're going to struggle. We're gonna have to find jobs. Like I know a lot of people here, they own businesses and stuff like that. So we will have to like figure out how to do those things. How are we gonna make money? How are we gonna provide for ourselves if we do come here?
I would just say really quickly, I think another issue will be luxury. Like, even though many of us come from lower income communities in America, there are still luxuries that we have that aren't present here. For example, options of food. We have thousands of options of food where we can switch up the food options every day, but here we're pretty much eating the same thing, or there may be 5 or 6 options. And so thinking through like the comfortability, like it's just more comfortable. It feels more comfortable in America.
Yeah. You don't want to sacrifice that.
No pain, no gain.
Thank you. So this sends us back to our lecture. It's about us. We need to make the things right. Your identity. We need to find our identity. And it starts with a step. You are not ready to come here in Ghana and meet, because you see our place to be like hard in terms of economic aspects, more especially some kind of institutions together with other things will not allow you. But then, like I said, it starts with a step. If we identify ourselves as one, we can achieve the goal. And that's common goal. Yes. Something that we will all be happy about. My next question. I remember when I was in level 200, I read a course titled Any West African Politics, where we got to, as part of the introductory part of the course, we learned of some impressions that the whites or the Europeans have about Africa or Africans. And this question happens to be one of them. Is it believed that Africans are over-sexual and aggressive? You know, when it comes to sex, what is the assumption? How do you see it with regard to the African? And where does that belief stem from? Where does it come from? To me, I know where it's emanated from. To you, where do you think it came from? And that, is it true that indeed we are aggressive when it comes to sex and all that? Victor.
Yes.
Victor understands.
You see,
Victor, please, before you answer, make me understand the question first.
The question is,
you are answering the question.
So in America, a lot of times in America, when they show images of Africa, they show them as very over-sexual and very aggressive. So not sexual and aggressive together, but like very like sexualized, but then and also very aggressive. You know, come to my shop. You know, they will drag you or something like that. So, so can you explain where do these beliefs come from?
Oh, okay. You see, when we look at the literature, you know, before the coming of the Europeans, our art of writing was different. We were developing our art of writing. So they came with, you know, they came here as people who could write about the things that they see, and in writing they were not able to interrogate what actually goes on. So some even sat in their chairs in Britain and wrote about Africa, trying to gather information from travelers, and then they wrote. And remember that at that same time they were trying to develop a hypothesis for their supremacy. So if you are to say that they are not sexually exploitative, then that means that Africans will be at the same level with them. Are you getting it? So the first writers of African history, you know, what they wrote is not actually the case, because they were trying to develop a hypothesis of supremacy.
And I think they haven't been fair to us, because they couldn't write our history well. And that is how come people have come to understand and appreciate that this is our history. And so they tend not to believe who we are. And that's why there are a whole lot of stories about who the African is. Okay.
also want to say that part of this notion emanate from what I would term as erroneous socialization, and some of the things I think now the